If you're struggling to control your needle or your fingers hurt when you're trying to do Sashiko, your thimble might be the problem. Today, I'm going to show you why regular thimbles don't work and how to find the right one for Sashiko. One of the commonest things people ask is, do I really need a Sashiko thimble? In Sashiko, we push the needle through the fabric. We load it onto the needle and push it through. So I have a regular thimble here. And for this, it really doesn't work that well, especially when you put a lot of stitches on your needle. In regular sewing, when you're just doing one stitch at a time, you can put it in and push it through with the thimble. But in Sashiko, we load the fabric on there and it's in the wrong position. You want to be pushing against the back of this needle, and it's just awkward to get your finger down there. It just doesn't work. So this kind of a thimble, it really doesn't help very much. It's just the wrong shape for the technique. So you could see that really didn't work very well trying to sew with that. If you're using a regular proper Sashiko thimble, when I put this needle into my stitches, it sits here on my on the Sashiko thimble, and that's what pushes it through. These fingers are just guiding it. This is what's applying the pressure. So it's a lot different to sewing with the regular thimble that you would use for needlework. This sampler that I'm doing, you'll see this for another project. This is a Kaguri sample and I'll show that on another video. So let's have a look at some of the thimbles. There's a couple of varieties of Sashiko thimble. This one I'm using here is the palm thimble, and this is my favourite to use. I have two brands actually. This one is I bought in Japan, but you can buy one like it on Amazon, and this is the clover. And although really they look just the same, for some reason this one feels a bit more comfortable to wear, and this one has actually become a little bit discoloured, but it doesn't make any difference to the function. So either is perfectly okay. The Japanese one just is my preference. Another kind is this leather one. So it works in the same way as a Sashiko thimble. This is elasticized, and you slide it on here like a palm thimble, and it sits there. As you're sewing, your needle will rest at that point so that you can do the Sashiko. I don't use this one very much. I feel less secure with it not being metal. I'm afraid if I have too many stitches and use too much force, the needle might go through. It probably won't, but I'm just not comfortable wearing it. And then another kind that I've got is this one. Now, I don't like this one at all, and I never use it. It actually came with the Sashiko kit that I bought to try out. And what it does, it sits on your finger, and I have seen other people using these somewhere around there, like a ring, probably on this finger. And then as you're doing the Sashiko, you would push through with that part on your finger. Now, the reason I don't like this is because there's no curve to this, and it seems to me like that would slide off really easily in one direction or the other, although there are grooves on here. I think this is just a matter of preference. I have seen Japanese people using thimbles like this when they're doing Sashiko, so I don't think there's anything wrong. I just don't want to use that kind of a thimble. Now, one thing that, apart from these regular Sashiko thimbles, I was going to mention protection for your other hand, because as you're doing this stitching, quite often, let me just move these thimbles out of the way for a second. Quite often as I'm doing this, I push the needle through and my finger, on the other hand, the needle is touching it every time I push it through, and eventually your finger is going to get a little bit sore doing that. Seems like that underneath finger is the control for the stitching not going too far down. And so on and off I do use some kind of a protective measure for that finger. One of the things that I have used is this leather one. I have occasionally put that on there and used it a little bit. It's not very secure on there, it moves around too much, so I'm not very fond of it for that either. So this one just really doesn't get used very much at all. And I've tried a few different things. This was a finger protector that I bought, rubber ring fingertip grip. The idea of this is that it sits on your finger, but for me it doesn't seem to sit in the right spot to catch when my needle goes through. It seems to be higher up, and I can't have it looser up there because they're too big. So, and this, I think this is the smallest size. Yeah, this is small. So for some reason it always seems to just miss my finger. So you may have bigger hands than me, it might work for you, but those are the grips. These are good to put two of them on your fingers if you're doing a particular project through thick denim or cloth where the needle's hard to pull through. You can get a good grip on the needle and pull it through the fabric easily. And this is Griply. Another one that I've tried out is this Little House. So this one, it sits on the end of your finger, and that one actually works quite well. I do use that sometimes. It doesn't matter what I put on this finger, for some reason it always just feels a little bit awkward to sew with it on there. They do help your fingers not to get sore though. So that's quite a good one for just protecting that finger back there. And another thing that I've used sometimes are these. So I'm actually not sure if these will show very well on camera, but they're actually little plastic pieces, and you put them onto your finger and they just stick on there. Do you see that? It's clear plastic, so it's probably really difficult to see. And again, I can sew with that behind, and it'll act as a little needle stop between the needle point and my finger. And that helps to protect that finger a little bit. And a last thing that I've used, which I don't have one here, is just a regular band-aid. Sometimes I'll just wrap around a band-aid around the end of my finger, and that works pretty good as well. So let me just take that off. Best of all, I like not to wear anything, because for some reason feeling that touch of the needle coming through the back of the fabric really helps me to control what I'm doing. But you just can't do that for extended periods of time because it does make your fingers sore. I'm getting quite some calluses on the end of my finger there. So personally, this is what I prefer, this particular palm thimble. It's very comfortable. Sometimes I look for it and I'm wearing it already, and I just even forget it's on. It just feels like wearing any other ring. And so that is the best one. And of the three choices of protection for my other finger, I think this one really is the best if I'm going to put something on there. You really can't do Sashiko without a Sashiko thimble. It's just easier if you have the right equipment. They're inexpensive and they're easily available. The right thimble, it can really change how Sashiko feels in your hands and when you're doing it. So let me know what Sashiko thimble you use and what you like. And I think people new to Sashiko would like another opinion as well of what's worked best for you of these, or if you have a different example. Watch out for this Kuguri sampler that'll be coming soon. I hope this little Sashiko thimble review was helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.